Welcome everyone to Living with the Times. Pesach is coming. We're in the month of Nisan. It's spring. The Torah tells us a number of times that Pesach must come out in the spring, for in the spring you came out of Egypt. Therefore, there is an intrinsic connection between the energy of spring, the energy of renewal, rebirth, rejuvenation, and the whole energy of Pesach is going from slavery to freedom, a whole new world. And so I want to present very quickly 5 different paradigms of birth to help us make it relevant for our own lives. Because ultimately, coming out of Egypt has to apply to each and every one of us. It's not just something that happened a long time ago and we are observing and celebrating and connecting to, but on a personal level, we must feel this rejuvenation and rebirth and find ways in our own lives to manifest that. So the 5 paradigms, according to tradition, the first day of the month of Nisan is when actually the world is created in actuality. And so every year, specifically on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, but really the whole month of Nisan is reconnecting to the actual birth of the world. The creation of the world is like a birth. So that is the most primordial energy that we reconnect to every year. And of course, it is manifest in the spring, where everything is being reborn, everything is flowering and budding with new life. The second paradigm has to do with coming out of Egypt. And that is that while we're in Egypt, we are enslaved and we're really in darkness. And it's like being in the womb, that we're not fully free in this world. We're in the womb, and then the 10 plagues come. The 10 plagues are like the birth pangs. Every birth has to have birth pangs. And then we get ready to leave. And then going through the sea is like going through the birth canal. When the waters opened up and Am Yisrael crossed the Yam, that was like a new baby being born. When we came to the other side and the Egyptians were then drowned in the sea, we were free. That is like a birth. So again, we have being in the womb, the birth pangs of the 10 plagues, and then going through the birth canal of the sea, and then we're being born. The next paradigm is similar, but here we're in the womb. The 10 plagues are the birth pangs, and on Seder night, we are born. We're born as a nation because we're going free. And as we leave Egypt, it took us 7 days to get to the Yam Suf, to the Sea of Reeds. So we're born, and going to the sea is like the circumcision, is the covenant. Because what happened, we went through the sea and we came to the other side intact, fully revealed. And then the sea closed on the Egyptians and they were cut off. And a circumcision is literally the foreskin is cut off and it reveals what's called the crown of the male organ. And that represents the cutting off of the Egyptians after all that time in slavery is like cutting off the foreskin and we enter into the covenant with God, which culminates in the giving of the Torah on Har Sinai. The next paradigm is even a bigger picture, where in a certain way we come out of Egypt, we receive the Torah, we're about to go to Israel, but because of the sin of the spies, we ended up spending 40 years wandering in the desert until a new generation was ready to come into the land. And so in a bigger picture, all of the 40 years in the desert is like the 40 weeks of pregnancy. We're told the 9 months are 9 full months. It's 40 weeks of pregnancy. And then when we come into Israel, we had to cross through the Jordan River. And that again is like going through the birth canal. And so after 40 years of gestation, of pregnancy, coming into Israel represents the full birth of the people. And then on an even bigger picture, it's as if the entire world, since its creation, is in a state of pregnancy. Because we are waiting for redemption. We're waiting to rectify the world. And it's as if all of history is a state of gestation, a state of pregnancy, waiting to give birth to a more perfect, a more redeemed, more rectified reality. And so here we've gone through 5 different paradigms. The paradigm of the creation of the world being a birth, and then through various paradigms or models of how we can see coming out of Egypt and the wandering in the desert for 40 years, and then coming into Israel, and then ultimately coming into the Messianic age. All of these we can visualize as different symbols of freedom. But ultimately, what we need to connect to is our own freedom. As important as it is to connect to our history, to feel like another link in the chain, and feel part of something so much greater than us, all of that, of course, is so important. But on a personal, deeply relevant level, every person, as they're preparing for Pesach, has to identify those places where they feel enslaved, stuck, in jail, shut down, and to find the way to get unstuck, to go from slavery to freedom. It must be brought down and integrated on a personal level. So I want to bless everyone that not only do we celebrate the wonderful holiday of Pesach and feel part of such a glorious people connected to God, but then on a personal level, we're able to see where we need to get out of our own Egypt, and we take the flight to freedom.